Hello again, I am Blunty, and did you ever imagine that a PC release of a PlayStation game could break the PlayStation version of said game? Well, that's happened to Ghost of Tsushima, like today. In just yesterday's video, which for whatever reason I've given up trying to comprehend, the YouTube machine mind has decided to almost entirely suppress so almost no one even saw it, I talked about Ghost of Tsushima, formerly a PlayStation exclusive title, and its upcoming PC release. And among many other things, I spoke about the new PlayStation overlay for the PC port, which does stuff like enable crossplay and PlayStation trophy functionality on not just this game, but presumably on all future PlayStation ports of games for PC. And I made a comment about that overlay, as useful and as interesting as it is, and as many exciting doors as it opens to PC and PlayStation interactivity across multi-platform games, and what that possibly means for the future of these things. But also I mentioned how it's just like another layer of crap that now has to run underneath your game, so even if you're not interested in using it at all, it will still inevitably soak up at least some small system resources that just don't need to be being used if you're not engaging with this system. It just sits there using up memory and whatnot for no useful reason. Now, this is likely not a problem for many, if not most, but lower-end PC gamers in particular might find it rather unwelcome. Which is why I also commented on my expectation/hope that modders might find a way to just nuke it and get it out of the way so PC gamers can just enjoy the game without that running underneath pointlessly. Well, guess what? It turns out it's a big problem for PlayStation gamers too. Within hours of my video going out yesterday, Sucker Punch Productions, the developer of Ghost of Tsushima, released patch 2.19 for the PlayStation version of this 4-year-old game, which to this point has performed wonderfully on both the PlayStation 4 Pro, where I first played it on release, and the PlayStation 5, of course, where I played it when it got its Icky Island expansion DLC and upgrade for PS5. The patch promises to fix a few known bugs and exploits with the multiplayer mode, known as Legends, but also alongside that, pave the way for the PC release and its cross-play PlayStation trophy, cross-progress features and all that kind of stuff. This patch adds initial support for crossplay services for the upcoming PC release on May 16th, they simply said. Seems straightforward enough, surely. Unfortunately for many PlayStation players, this patch seems to have utterly broken the game to such a state it is unplayable, with a large pile of PlayStation players reporting the exact same issue, saying that their game now freezes and hitches and stutters frequently, about every minute or so actually. Some are reporting the issue happens every minute or up to every 5 minutes. Others are reporting suffering it every 20 seconds or so. And for a game as liquid smooth as this, with its pitch perfect act-react combat systems, that is a huge friggin' issue. Like, huge. Disastrous, catastrophic. Beyond just making the game insufferably stammery and distracting to a point it's impossible to remain absorbed in the incredibly immersive world of stories, its characters, whatever. But of course, from a basic gameplay stance, it makes it literally unplayable. You cannot play the game when it's stuttering and stammering every so often. It just breaks it. I, of course, did my own testing upon seeing these reports this morning, and it seems I am among those lucky few that the issue is just not affecting at all. My game seemed to run perfectly fine. So I couldn't try out the supposed solution that one Twitter commenter posited. According to them, they solved the issue by disconnecting their PlayStation 5 from the internet entirely. Isn't that interesting? Because that seems to very clearly indicate that the problem area is not some bug in the code of the new patch. It is in fact the new features in play for sharing data to the new systems that allow cross-play and cross-progression of trophies and all that kind of stuff, and in general keeping the PlayStation version synced in several ways with a server that PC users will also share through the new PlayStation overlay that will premiere with the PC release of Ghost of Tsushima. A system hitching every time the underpinning online functions try to ping the servers and pop another data packet back and forth. Yeah, been there, done that, suffered that in other games with online functionality, including those where it's clumsily stapled into their single-player modes for no good reason. Though frankly, even though I have seen this issue many times before in the past, I haven't seen it for many, and I mean many years. I figured we were long past this crap. I figured with the internet the way it is now, with the systems the way it is now, with technology the way it is now, with game design as mature as it is now, we were done with that. But nope, because Sony's got a Sony. And I do blame Sony. I do not blame Sucker Punch. I blame Sony because it is their system-wide tech that they've asked Sucker Punch to put into this game, so it can sync between the PC, that is most likely causing this issue, at least based off what we're seeing being reported already. I am not a developer, I am not a code guy, I just know what I've seen before in the past, and I know what people are saying right now, and I know this guy says he fixed it by just disconnecting his PlayStation. So that all indicates to me that this is the issue. It's Sony's system that Sucker Punch have shoved into their game to enable these other features on the PC version. This is not a system that Sucker Punch developed, this is a system that Sony developed. So yes, very clearly, I blame Sony. And it does make me quite nervous now that PC players might have a rough time at launch with issues like this, if indeed Sony systems are this janky on their own native hardware before they've even deployed it across the multi-platform system. And this PC PlayStation overlay will be used in all of their ongoing PC ports and releases and whatnot, and you have to imagine they're probably going to backport it to a few of their more popular older ports as well. Who knows what it's going to do there? It's a very reasonable fear now that Sony's sloppily coded overlay will impede and interfere with PC game performance for very little useful reason for quite a lot of players. They do have just 2 weeks to get this janky-ass garbage sorted out before PC launch date to avoid a catastrophic flood of negative press for this otherwise excellent game. And meanwhile, the PlayStation gamers are screwed. They're just done. They can't play this game. Which sucks for those, actually legitimately currently affected, but it is going to get only ever more tedious once the Sony pony types, whether or not they play this game, start throwing their little tantrums, their inevitable little tantrums about how PC ports of the brand they've willingly slaved their whole little gamer identities to are, somehow magically evil, devil ruining everything crap. Because that's just the way their brains work. I don't really understand it. I've got my theories, but, it's a good thing to have games on multiple platforms because it gives consumers choice. That's always going to be a good thing in my mind. But Sony ponies really, really hate that other people get to enjoy games that they really love, or at least tell you they love. But for whatever reason, they want you to do what they did and buy Sony's hardware. Do they own stock in Sony? Probably not. Little basement dweller dorks. How and why they're so obsessed with this, I don't know. All I know is, and mark my words, it is about to get really friggin' tiresome around the discourse of this game. Which is a real shame because, again, as I said in yesterday's video, this is one of the best games I have ever played. Like, legitimately, it was an instant classic. It is a gold standard for this kind of open world action RPG game. I would be such a happy gamer if even 60% of other games out there had this level of polish and care and attention paid to them. It is so good, and it's so frustrating to know that the discourse is going to be derailed unless Sony gets their crap sorted out. I feel sorry for Sucker Punch, frankly. Anyway, there you go. An addendum to yesterday's video. If you haven't seen that video, and you probably haven't, because again, YouTube friggin' hates me. For all my videos last week did really, really well, and this week just farted in the toilet again. Well, I don't know. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there, and I will catch you next time.